Hi, my name is Kantal Malia, and today I wanted to give a quick talk about AI and storytelling. Before I start, though, I wanted to talk about my story. And about 15 years ago, when I took on my first AI leadership position, I remember at some point realizing that I was spending a lot of time in terms of documentation, conversations, versus like looking into models and seeing what's there and what's not. And at that point, I ran into the Microsoft AI leader at Strata, and we started talking. And I mentioned this to him, and he said something very interesting, which I've never forgotten. He said, "At this stage, 50% of my time goes into communication." And he's like, "You're no longer an AI practitioner, but you're a storyteller." And he said, "That's something that you have to kind of go ahead and make sure you feel good about and become good at." And that's something I've actually taken very seriously to heart, because I believe that, we all need to be storytellers, especially today. Fast forward 15 years, and I think we live in probably one of the most exciting times of our lives. Today, everywhere you go, it's just about AI. And the good news is that as AI leaders, we don't need to spend time convincing people why they need to do something. The why aspect of AI has gone. Any survey that you read, whether it's this one that I put up or anything else, is all about how CEOs believe that AI is something they need to go towards, they need to deploy, and it will fundamentally change how they do their business. But if you also look at what else they're talking about, they are concerned about what will happen to their employees, what are the legal risks, what are the reputation risks, cybersecurity, data, etc. And so I believe our story has changed from why to what, when, and how. And as any good storyteller knows, in your career, I'm sure like most of you have practiced this. You have the character, you have the setting, you have the conflict, you have the resolution. So invariably, I've always kind of taken on the track of there's the hero, there's the villain, and what is it that we need to do. However, given where we are today, I feel like the biggest thing that is going to make an impact and that is going to have that's going to keep coming up in our journeys over and over again are interfaces. And that's when I feel you need to be looking at the character and the setting as you think about interfaces. And I wanted to kind of talk about what happened with us at Style Milk, where if you're looking at a user-centric interface, there are a couple of things that I feel are important. So one is empathy, right? Understanding who your user really is, whether what you're building fits into his or her lifestyle or his or her role, and how it can fit in. How can you make it simple that they will adopt it? Because today, given the multiple options that users have when it comes to tools that are AI driven or products that are AI driven, you have to make sure that yours is simple enough and it is 10x better, right? So I will go ahead and integrate it into my lifestyle in some way. And then, what happens when it comes to feedback? So I want to talk about what we did at StyleNook. We were at a point where we were developing a lot of algorithms, and we were on the verge of deployment. Uh, to just kind of keep things a little simple from the model perspective, since I'm not getting into the algorithms out here, we had explicit client data points and we had explicit product data points. We had a series of different algorithms. This is just the high level. And our option was to kind of sit and build more and more algorithms, or we could actually go ahead and spend more time on the interface and ensure that the end user, who is the stylist, is actually able to use the algorithms or the output of the algorithms the way that we had envisioned it. Now, given that we knew what the stylist was about and who the stylist is, we also understood that the interface would play a much higher role for us than the algorithms. So we had to kind of cut back on everything that we did in terms of algorithm development and focus on the interface. Knowing who our stylist was and knowing very well what she kind of dealt with especially as a virtual freelance stylist, we had to ensure that our output was visual, we had to ensure that we were going ahead and eliminating the risk for her, because she's always worried about various angles of risk and error that could happen because she doesn't see the end user. And third, we had to ensure that we are enhancing her creativity. So instead of putting a bunch of text as the output or guidelines or anything that she should be aware of, we ensured that the interface we created comprised of products that she could pick, giving her options as to which products had the highest sell through rate, and essentially allowing her to finally make the choices. But we never went towards text. We always kept things towards visual because we knew that's what she was driven by, and we knew that's how she was absorbing information. Had it been another kind of business user, maybe we would have gone more for text versus the visual. To end, I wanted to kind of come to one of my favorite business leaders, Steve Jobs. Design is not just about aesthetics, colors, or fonts. It's about what works, it's about usability. And I think that's one of the fundamental factors that AI leaders need to be thinking about as we get into the most exciting phase of our life. Thank you.